Wake up, babe. Nintendo's being anti-consumer again with this feature they have on the Nintendo Switch 2.
I just wanted some sauce on those zingers.
Hey everybody, 2 quick shameless plugs. Tomorrow I'm going to be having a long, juicy stream on this channel. It starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Make sure you come check that out. I already have it scheduled, link below in the description. And 2, make sure you check out my ASMR channel called Tech25 ASMR. I have DSP Gaming ASMR on there.
Listen, Toe Tickler Timmy.
Because that's technology related. Anyway, I'll have a link to that below in the description. Sub to my ASMR channel. And now on to the news.
Wake up, babe.
So you would think with the Nintendo Switch 2, like any other USB-C gaming device, Steam Deck, ROG Ally, GPD Win, that if you want to use a dock on the Nintendo Switch 2, it shouldn't be a problem, right? Nintendo's actually going by the Universal Protocol, power delivery, so on and so forth, that any dock, so long as it's a good dock, don't use a crappy one, would work on the Switch 2. No, absolutely not. That would be pro-consumer, and we know Nintendo, they hate their consumers. They just want your money. So there's a video, it actually came out about a week ago, how I missed this is beyond me, called Nintendo's Greed Could Change the Industry from Linus Tech Tips. And they put the Nintendo Switch through its paces with third-party docks, and the results they got back were alarming. Anyway, I'll have a link to the full video below in the description, but here's a couple excerpts from Linus's video so you get the idea of what's going on if you use a third-party dock on the Switch 2. Take a look.
To find out, we have the Infineon Protocol Analyzer, a little device that intercepts the communication between 2 USB-C PD devices and allows us to see exactly what Nintendo has done.
To understand what we're working with, let's test out the Switch 2 and the Switch 2 dock first. And we have image. Wow, these 2 devices meant to work together. Fantastic. Now we're gonna test out this pretty generic Nucleum USB Type-C dongle. The Switch is asking for a specific mode. We get connected, we get UFD connected, and then it kind of just like fizzles out, and then it sort of stops communicating. And that's gonna be kind of a reoccurring pattern where things don't happen in the same order, things get confused, and then the communication kind of just ceases.
So you understand what's going on there, right? They actually checked if you use a third-party dock, which should just work with the Nintendo Switch, and it doesn't. And they actually checked to see if the handshaking was going on properly, and no, the Nintendo Switch detects if it's a third-party dock and goes, nope, not happening, ain't using it. Now, the thing I'm hearing is that Nintendo, it's like willful laziness that they did this. They're like, oh, you know, we could have actually made this work. Oh, we forgot. But oh no, gee, because we didn't properly work on our protocol, people will have to buy first-party Switch products like a $125 Switch 2 dock. If you want to get another dock, I am looking at it right now. I'll show it on the screen. If you want to get an official Switch 2 dock, it's $125. When, keep in mind, there are docks on Amazon that would do more than Nintendo's dock would do that are going for like $40. And they're legit docks. Like I'm looking at Ugreen, they make decent docks. If you don't want Ugreen, Anchor is making docks here. Or yeah, USB-C hubs with HDMI on them for $25. That would work perfectly fine in an ideal world, but Nintendo is like, no, we're gonna check to make sure it's our dock, and if it's not our dock, sucks for you. Oh, your dock broke? Well, $125, cough it up. Now this was absolutely intentional by Nintendo. I don't want to hear it was willful laziness or whatever other terms people are using. They did this to make sure you buy their products. Or if a third-party manufacturer is going to make a dock or an accessory for the Switch, they want them to pay an expensive licensing fee. This was absolutely done by design, and it's... I'm speechless. Every time I turn around with the Nintendo Switch, I don't care how well it's selling or not selling, it doesn't matter. It could be selling 2 million units a week. It doesn't take away from all the anti-consumer things that are going on here. We've seen, I literally had a guest on the show who had his Switch 2 banned. He doesn't know what he did. Nintendo won't tell him what he did, and his Switch 2 became useless. It was only because Target allowed him to exchange it that he was able to have a working Switch 2. His Switch 2 got bricked by Nintendo. They said they bricked it because he violated TOS and they wouldn't tell him what he did. And guess what? He had to get a new one. And if Target didn't do that, he would be stuck with a Switch that could not access the internet. It was bricked and he wouldn't be able to play games. I know Nintendo fans hate when I say this, but reality is reality. And I am not a fanboy of any platform. You realize that you could get a Steam Deck, ROG Ally, GPD Win device, Aya Neo, even One X Player. Even I have mixed feelings about them. And you could buy a $30 Anchor dock on Amazon and it'll work perfectly, right? You realize, Nintendo, that even though those devices didn't do the original Switch numbers, that the reason why the Switch sold so well is in the beginning is because if people wanted AAA third-party experiences on a tablet-like portable device, it was only the Nintendo Switch to go to. It's 2025. I know I'm repeating the same thing, but for you to lock down your system the way that you are, when you have competitors out there where people could play those third-party games cheaper, and the Steam Deck OLED is not much more expensive than a Switch, especially if you keep in mind how much more expensive the games are. The fact that Nintendo is forcing you to buy mostly proprietary accessories from them, like the dock, and you do the math, and if you're not diehard about first-party games from Nintendo, and you hear things like they're not even going to let you use a legitimate name brand like Anchor dock to play your games from the Switch 2 on your TV screen. What are we doing here, Nintendo? What are we doing? Again, I feel like I'm just leasing this device from you. You are being the most anti-consumer I've seen Nintendo be maybe ever. And another thing that's mentioned, and it's true that many articles have talked about with this, is what happens if this sets a standard for the rest of the industry? What happens if Asus starts doing this and they say, hey, even though we're Windows 11 based, our devices, what if we put an extra piece of firmware into our PC gaming devices that means they have to buy official Asus docks or Asus cables? Just use your imagination as to how horrible Nintendo, if this precedent gets set of, even though, hey, it's a USB-C port, we could make it that you only could use our own accessories. If other companies see that this works, they may follow suit. I know I mentioned Asus and Lenovo and GPD Win before, and I don't think this is going to happen because they know it's a selling point for their devices where you could use any USB-C dock that you want. But it's not out of the question. Nintendo is a big player in the tech industry. And if other manufacturers and other hardware developers see that they're allowed to get away with using proprietary docks, you could only buy their dock and their accessories, you don't think other companies who want to profit are going to do the same? Remember, the Switch 2 dock is $125. A third-party dock, a legit one, you could get for about $30. Other manufacturers want a piece of that pie too. Hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully other companies don't pull a Nintendo. But Nintendo, when it comes to the Switch 2, man, you suck. I'm not talking about sales numbers. I'm talking about how you're acting, and you're acting arrogant and selfish, and this is not the Nintendo that I know. Make sure you check out my ASMR channel. I'll have a huge stream tomorrow starting at 2:30 p.m. And this is Rich Tomorrow signing out. Have a good one.